Concert Club is Arizona's premier blues hotspot, hosting nightly live music. Located at 1019 East Indian School Road in Phoenix and online at www.rhythmroom.com.
Hey y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. I love that country music connects people all over this great nation, but unfortunately so does something else, childhood hunger. 15 million children struggle with hunger in America. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks works to rescue our surplus food to help provide billions of meals to families in need across the country. Join the fight against hunger at feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Blues America is supported by Record High Vinyl Store in Phoenix, the place for serious music fans and vinyl collectors to find large quantities of first pressings, limited editions, box sets, audiophile, and vintage catalog, including blues, soul, jazz. They buy, sell, and trade, and offer vinyl cleaning and flattening service. Visit the store, located at 4242 East University Drive in Phoenix, or for more online at recordhighinphoenix.com. Like them on Facebook. Record High in Phoenix. Experience one of the last great record stores.
You wanted to be a teacher when you were little, but as you grew up, things changed. Teaching just didn't seem like the best option anymore, so you decided to become something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Interesting and innovative things are happening in teaching today, so it's time to put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Damn right we got the blues. Blues America. Right now.
Pour some beer, grab a seat, and kick your feet up. It's Blues America. Blues at the break.
Myself alone. That lady said I had a call, I was too evil to answer the phone. My baby's so pretty, but she still runs around on me. That gal's so pretty, but she still runs around on me. I know you don't love me, go ahead and leave me be.
Promotional consideration for Blues America is provided by the Southwest Musical Arts Foundation, this station, and the listeners of public radio.
This is Paul Austin, ladies and gentlemen, and you are listening to Blues. No, that's Chuck's. This is Paul Austin, ladies and gentlemen, and you're listening to Blues America.
Headed down to the Chicken Shack. It's Blues America time.
What a fool Hiya. If you just turned this thing on, let me tell you what you're doing. You're listening to Blues America with today's special guest, Lindsay Beaver. Her latest album is called Tough as Love. If you missed any part of the show or the live broadcast on your local community station, hit rewind on the streaming podcast available now at bluesamerica.com or on your mobile device using one of the many great apps like Google Play or iTunes. All right, Lindsay, we're back. Let's talk about your blues journey.
Yep.
You didn't come from Chicago or Memphis or Mississippi or any of the known hotspots, so tell us the story that explains how a girl from Nova Scotia gets signed with the top blues label.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird journey. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. There's a lot of really great blues players out there. There's a jam there every Sunday. I used to go down when I first started playing drums. I didn't tell anybody I sang for the longest time because I wanted to be a drummer, because I knew if they heard that I sang, I wouldn't get to play drums anymore. But which ended up not actually being true. It was kind of my own silly thing. But so I went down to that jam every week, and I was terrible. I mean, just terrible, But as time went on, I learned, and they were really patient with me. And I really credit those guys at that jam for my shuffle, for the stuff I know about blues, for introducing me to T-Bone Walker and Jimmy Reed and, all the cool stuff that you need to know. And then at a certain point, I knew I kind of had to leave Halifax because there wasn't much there for me. So I moved to Toronto, went to music school. I kind of played blues outside of the school because they weren't really supportive of this music, which is really unfortunate. And met my band that I played with for, a number of years there, and kind of built that into what I'd always wanted to do, which was similar to what you're hearing now. And I opened a few shows for Jimmy Vaughn in Austin, or in Canada, and he sort of introduced me to his bass player who had recorded Nick's records, and he did 2 of my band's records. And between Jimmy and Billy and being in Austin so much, I sort of was encouraged to move. And so that's sort of how that happened. And then I think after a few years of touring in America and really wanting to be in this community, I think that was one of the biggest reasons I got a hold of Bruce, because I'd done a lot in Canada, and I really wanted to get somewhere in the States, and there's Alligators top of the list as far as that's concerned. So, and I was lucky enough to be like it.
Well, I can tell that you really love roots music. You get it. And I think that your story demonstrates the power of the blues. I mean, these days, Chicago blues can be anywhere. Brazil, Spain, Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's one thing, I've spent my life listening. I have a little large record collection. I'm always listening to something different. It doesn't have to be limited to blues, but a lot of it is, And I credit the records that I've listened to for me knowing what I'm doing these days. I'm still learning. There's once in a while I'll think, what else is left? And then you find a box set of something, and you're like, well, I don't know anything. Here's 100 more songs that I have to learn. I got a Laverne Baker box set. There's 100 songs that she recorded. I was like, my God. And I never heard 80 of them. So it's, I've spent my whole life listening, and that's how I learned,
Yeah, that's important, I can tell. You mentioned that you have strong players, and I want to double down on your comments, because I think that one thing that's working in your formula, and I'm sure that it's great on the road for you, is this trio format that you have. I think you manage the space very well, and it sounds real tight.
I completely agree, and I was actually really nervous to do this as a trio. And this is what I go back to what I said earlier. It's really important, especially the guitars. He's doing everything. He's doing rhythm. He's doing lead. He's taking all the solos. Brad Stivers is a phenomenal talent, and this would be very difficult to do as a trio if he wasn't such a strong player. But before this, I had piano, sax, guitar, bass, drums. That was my lineup for 6-7 years, and I was nervous because I'm a front person and I'm good at it, I guess. But I inwardly, when I stripped down to the trio, I felt really in front all of a sudden. There's no one to hide behind. There's no guys to take, 5 guys to take solos anymore. It's just me, And now that I'm used to it, I wouldn't go back. I really like this trio. But it really does hinge on the guys playing with me. Like Josh and Brad are this would be difficult if they weren't such strong musicians in a trio setting. And we play around Austin together when we're not on tour, like 3 to 4 times a week. Like, I play at Antone's on Tuesdays, Brad plays on Mondays, and Josh and I just back him up because he's a great singer in his own right. You know, we're always playing together. I'm really lucky to have that. Hard to find.
Right. You mentioned how busy you've been, and I hope you love touring because, that's my least favorite thing to do in the music business. I mean, I love visiting different places and seeing different cultures, but the constant traveling and logistics and the lack of comfort and the roots, that's always challenging.
No, it's funny because when I started, I know that's terrible, isn't it? But when I started, I just wanted to play gigs. Like when I started with my old band, I was in Toronto and I just wanted to play. And then people liked it so much. And then once I started touring, I got the bug for it. And touring is not easy, I love it. But anyone that does this will tell you it's not easy, Some nights are good, some nights aren't, But you love what you do. And I'm glad. I'm glad that Bruce and the guys at Alligator have been so supportive that I'm glad that they gave me a chance because I really care about this. It's my whole life.
Well, right on. Let's take a quick break and hear the voice of the late, great Big Mama Thornton for the Blues People Soundbite. And we'll be right back.
You hurt me so. You hurt me when you let me go.
Hi, this is Billy Boy Arnold. That means I sing nothing but the blues. You're listening to Blues America.
Blues America, taking you down to the crossroads. You ready? You ready? You ready? You ready?
Blues America. Blues People. Soundbite.
I was going to the theater, and I just turned the radio on in the car. And the man said, here's a record that's nationwide. Hound Dog by Willie Mae Thornton. I said, that's me. I hadn't heard the record in so long. So when we got to the theater, they was blasting it there. You could hear it from the theater, from the loudspeaker on out. Oh, they just playing Hound Dog all over the theater. So I goes up in the operating room. I said, you mind play that again? Because the man held the record so long, I forgot the words myself. So I was up in the so I stood there while he was playing it, listening to it. So that evening, I sang it on the show. And everybody went for it. So Hound